Hello, welcome to another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. I'm Lady Trinette Wilson, your lecturer and social historian. Today's lecture is very interesting. I think I say that all the time because we have such interesting people within the Black culture, and this woman stood above the rest. She was known as the Black Queen of Salsa. She was a celebrated Afro-Latina singer, and she ruled the Latino music industry and genre throughout the 20th century. Her music made her a beloved icon. But, there had to be a little bit of controversy. So, her political affiliations and religious connections, they made her a very controversial figure. She even garnered attention from the U.S. State Department. And she was exiled from her beloved birthplace of Cuba. Her name is Celia Cruz, and I am so grateful for you joining me today. Now, listen, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I left a little bit of her music down below because, I can't play it in the video so that you could hear her voice. Now, my first brush with Latin music was when I used to live in a city called Corpus Christi, and I lived right across the street from a very famous Tejano singer named Selena. They were so sweet. Selena, her father, Abe, they actually helped send my daughter to sing on Bobby Jones' gospel. So Latin music has always been a part of my culture. And so with this big sound and beautiful voices, Selena, she really did stand above the rest. And Celia was one of her icons. She even mentioned her one time. Celia went on to win 7 Grammy Awards. Now, she was born in Havana, Cuba on October the 21st, 1925. Her father's name was Simon Cruz, and he was a railway stoker. And her mother was named Catalina, and she was a housewife. Now, they lived with like 14 people, but she only had 3 other siblings than herself. So she had 3 sisters. Her mother reported that Celia began singing at only 9 or 10 months old, and she was very greatly influenced by Santeria songs. Now, Santeria is a religion brought to the Caribbean when the Africans were brought over from slavery, and it was mostly a Yoruba religion, and they worship the Orisha. Now, her father was not cool at all with her singing Santeria music. In fact, he wanted her to be a school teacher. So she obliged, and when she graduated, she attended the normal school for teachers in Cuba. Now, while she was attending there, a teacher heard her sing and said, "Listen, Celia, you need to go somewhere else other than this school to be a teacher because singing would make you a millionaire, whereas you'll never make that kind of money as a teacher." So she listened, and in 1947, she left the teaching profession in the school and enrolled in Havana's National Conservatory of Music, where she studied music theory, voice, and piano. That year, she began singing also at Havana's most popular cabarets like the Tropicana, the Bamboo, and the Topica. Now, in 1948, she joined a group called the Flaming Mulattoes, who were mixed-race Afro-Latinas, and they had a group. And so they would go to different radio stations and cabarets and sing. And that really is what put her on the map. People began to hear her, and they really loved her singing. Now, in 1950, she recorded with a group, and she was only 25 years old, and she became the lead singer of another group called Sonoro Montecero, becoming the group's first Afro-Latino singer. They took off, and she sang for the group for 15 years. And this is also where she met her lifelong partner and husband, Pedro Knight. They were married in 1961, and Pedro outlived Celia. Now, a year earlier, the Cuban Revolution occurred, which caused the nationalization of the music industry. And Celia was like, no. She was very, I would say, kind of insulting and critical of Fidel Castro, which left her being exiled out of Cuba. She wasn't even able to return to Cuba until 1990. So it was almost 48 years. Now, why is it that she had allegedly joined the Communist Party? She had been a part of the youth group Communist Party as a young girl allegedly, and that was called the Popular Socialist Party. And it was also rumored that she would use her concert to bring all the communists together to have meetings. So it was, it was a lot of that going on around her. Now, the USA even revoked her, and well, not revoked, but wouldn't even allow her to come into the USA. So they denied her visa in 1952 and in 1955. But there was no denying her talent. And there was no denying she used her music to bring people together. And so that was the religion and the politics that she believed in. But the people really loved her. So they had to finally let her into the USA. She was never arrested or anything like that. And she went on to sell 10 million records. She was a multimillionaire and she won 7 Grammy Awards. Her appearances were epic. And she even performed at the Rumble in the Jungle in Zaire. She also performed with Mark Anthony, who was like this huge Tejano singer. I just love Mark Anthony. He used to be married to J-Lo. I left some of his music down there too. We have to expand ourselves. So if all you listen to is hip hop, you don't really know about this other type of music. But there's reggaeton, there's Afro-Latina music. There's so many different types of music. Tell me some other forms of music that you listen to down below. My daughter's husband likes country music. So I've been listening to a guy named something Waller. So yeah. So after an amazing career, Celia preceded her husband in passing. She had gone through a breast cancer surgery back in 2002. But during a performance, so even after her surgery, she kept performing, and she was in Mexico. And during that performance, she passed out. It was later diagnosed that she had a life-threatening brain cancer, and it was very, very aggressive. She kept working, however, recording her last album in 2003 called Regalio del Alma. And she appeared in public the last time in 2003 when Telemundo, which is a Spanish station, paid tribute to her. She passed on July 16th, 2003 in her home with her husband by her side at the age of 77, and they lived in Fort Lee, New Jersey. They never had any children, but she had been recognized. She loved children, but I think her career was her child. Celia was beloved, and she was well recognized with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1987. There's even a school in the Bronx named after her. The National Museum of American History, also the Smithsonian, honored her, and here are some of her clothes from that. Now, she is still being honored even after her death. She was named one of the greatest singers in history in 2023 by Rolling Stone. And she did, again, finally get to visit Cuba in 1990. As I mentioned, she had to perform at Guantanamo Bay, and she took some of the soil with her. I think I mentioned that. Her husband actually buried it with her as a part of the embalming process. So that is the life of Celia Cruz. I hope that you enjoyed it. I love her music. Not so much the religion and all of that, but I didn't listen to that. It was mostly the music, and I hope that you enjoy it down below. Had you ever heard of her? How many Afro-Latinas do we have down in the comments? Let me know. And I just want to thank you for taking some time out of your schedule today to learn a little bit more about our royal, black, and elite history. Now, if you want to keep learning, definitely click down below. And also, I want to say, don't forget to turn on your notifications. So that way, when I drop a new video, you'll be the first to see it. I want to thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing, spending some of your time with me today for another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. Thanks for watching.